Theodora's influence, sent Silverius to the island of Palmaria, where he was persuaded to abdicate, and he died shortly thereafter. He may have been starved or he may have been murdered. A New York-based pharmaceutical company is voluntarily recalling several batches of a popular children's cough syrup over fears they may be contaminated with harmful bacteria, and the FDA is urging consumers to stop using Little Remedy's honey cough syrup immediately. A North Carolina girl was injured last weekend after coming in contact with an alligator while she and a group of other children were swimming in Lake Waccamaw, located about an hour west of Wilmington. The police department announced the incident, saying multiple children were playing in about 4 feet of water when the 12-year-old victim yelled, "Something bit me." The children were rushed out of the water. The injuries sustained were serious but not life-threatening in any way, the Lake Waccamaw Police Department announced. It is also unclear as to if the injuries were caused by a bite or a claw, but they were definitely caused by the alligator, they said. The North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission also responded to the incident and told Fox News Digital in a statement that it was a 12-foot male alligator that made contact with the victim, resulting in a laceration and scratches on her legs. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News. I'm Janet Huxley for the Crusade Channel, seeking news and finding truth.
When President Trump attempts to make America great again, we'll be there for you with the best with live coverage and commentary in media on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on CrusadeChannel.com.
For the last time, I'm pretty sure what's killing the crops is this Brondo stuff.
The Brondo's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes.
So wait a minute. What you're saying is that you want us to put water on the crops?
Yes.
Water? Like out the toilet?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be out of the toilet, but yeah, that's the idea.
But Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
Okay, look, the plants aren't growing, so I'm pretty sure that the Brondo's not working. Now, I'm no botanist, but I do know that if you put water on plants, they grow.
Oh, well, I've never seen no plants grow out of no toilet.
Hey, that's good. You sure you ain't the smartest guy in the world?
Yeah.
Okay, look, you want to solve this problem. I want to get my pardon, so why don't we just try it, okay? And not worry about what plants crave.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes.
What are electrolytes? Do you even know?
It's what they use to make Brondo.
Yeah, but why do they use them to make Brondo?
Because Brondo's got electrolytes.
Welcome to the Free Phone Friday Power Hour. Mike Churchill is on the Crusade Radio Network. As I said, it is a free phone Friday. Let's get the show started and ask the question of the day.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Well, I'll tell you.
Oh, and remember, Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, you know, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
Do it! It's free phone. It's free phone. Yes, it is. A free phone Friday. You are charged with the task of telling us what it is we shall talk about on the program. Telephone number, take me up on this kind, benevolent, beneficent offer, use of these radio airwaves. 844-527-8723, 844-5-CRUSADE. Email me, my email address, same as it ever has been. I am KingDude at protonmail.com. I am KingDude at protonmail.com. I wonder if anyone... I'm just looking at this video that somebody posted on X.com. No, that's not a... Oh, undercover ICE agents arresting a Chinese national. I wonder if anyone's going to go bonkers because an Asian has been arrested. Will this be a crime against humanity? Will Adam Shifty, Melonhead Adam Schiff, be taking to the media to cry crocodile tears? Oh, the humanity of it all. As the month of May, if you didn't hear, had this many illegal alien criminal trespassers sneak into the United States.
0.0.
We got a lot to talk about and a little bit of time to do it. Call me, 844-527-8723. This portion of the program brought to you by the Founders Pass Membership Service. You're going to need it, folks. You are going to need it. If you want to listen to this show every day and all 3 hours of it, you're going to need to get a Founders Pass membership. Easy to do and very inexpensive. Starts at $2.88 a month right now. Everybody has $2.88 a month. You have the willpower, though, to back the Crusade Channel and the King Dude. I think that you do. So I know that you do, so here's where you go. CrusadeChannel.com/join. CrusadeChannel.com/join. You'll see the $2.88 a month option. You got to pay by the year, but it's $2.88 if you average it out at CrusadeChannel.com/join. Of course, there are other membership plans that include all the podcasts from this show and much, much more. Sign up for one of those as well. Same site, CrusadeChannel.com/join. This just out moments ago on Truth Social from Don John of Mar-a-Lago. Note that he hasn't said peep. This is our strongest ally in the region, Israel. We got to get over there. We got to have regime change. He hasn't said peep, squat about Iran in 3 days. 3 days. All we got yesterday was a message through Caroline Leavitt, White House spokesbabe. And to me, I translate that to mean, we're not going to do this anymore. You have 2 weeks to forget. The stupid Israelis led by the Dunkov Netanyahu bombed the Iranians after I told them not to. 2 weeks to forget about it. Just forget about it. We've got a lot of work to do. This just moments ago. 0 border crossings for the month for Trump.
0.0.
Versus 60,000 for sleepy, crooked Joe Biden, a man who lost the 2020 presidential election by a landslide. Biden was grossly incompetent, and the 2020 election was a total fraud. The evidence is massive and overwhelming. A special cross prosecutor must be appointed. This cannot be allowed to happen again in the United States of America. Let the work begin. What this crooked man and his corrupt cronies, all caps, have done to our country in 4 years is grossly indescribable. Make America great again. That's my president now, getting back to the business of MAGA. He seems to have shed the neocons, at least for the next 2 weeks. Barring the Iranians doing something stupid. So, what does this mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means that A.G. Bondi, Director Patel, and Deputy Bongino, you really should listen to my podcast, videocast episode with Kyle Seraphin, part 1, how Trump's, because there's 3 parts. How is Trump's FBI under Patel, under Kash Patel doing? Because Kyle Seraphin doesn't think that they're doing much of anything. He thinks that, and I'm not disagreeing with him, he thinks that Patel got in there and saw what a challenge this was, and rather likes having his own private jet fly him around. Same thing for Bongino, who they both seem to be living the life. And it's noon already. Where's the arrests? Where are the arrests? But that doesn't mean that they don't have good people working under them that aren't doing what they should be doing. Which is finding out, and this stuff you couldn't have been very well hidden because it was too difficult to hide. And besides that, the Biden regime didn't think that they would ever get caught. So what does this mean? This means that they've got it. They have the evidence and the intel. They have all this evidence and stuff, and the intel to back it up. The receipts, as they call it in the biz these days. Well, what does that mean? That guy does not go out and charge people with things unless he knows. Just like I told you months ago, they sent Stephen Miller out there to go say, this Abrego Garcia guy is not who you think he is. Yes, he was an illegal criminal, alien trespasser, and yes, he was a criminal and a gang member. They knew that. They sent Garcia out there for the drive-by media to go and report on in the hopes that they would canonize the guy, and the idiots in the Democrat Party fell for it hook, line, and sinker. So this is probably some kind of similar fishing expedition. By the way, with Trump letting the neocons get just enough rope to hang themselves, and then Tucker Carlson swoops in with the tell-all interview with Ted Cruz. I want you to listen to me. I'm the most conservative man in the history of the conservative people in the Senate. And I have been in the Senate for one goal and one goal only. That is to be the greatest defender of the state of Israel I could be. You know, the more I think about that statement, the more that dude is fried. There would be no justice and no use for a Republican Party that has stoolies, stool pigeon stooges that are shills for other countries. And you come from the state of Texas? I'd be surprised if he doesn't get heckled at an airport in Texas. If there are certain good old boys walking to that airport, they're going to catcall him.
They should.
As they should. Wait a minute there, partner. I thought you went to the Senate to represent me out here in Amarillo. I thought you, hey, Cruz. Hey, Lama. I thought you went to the Senate to represent us people out here in Lampasas. Well, now you running around saying you represent, you wanted to defend the state of Israel? What about the state of Texas? Well, let me tell you something there, cowboy. Do you want me to go Tucker Carlson on you? I'll get Sean Vanity and Mark Levin. I'll get them on your case. I'm Ted Cruz. It's an embarrassment. Should be an embarrassment to the Senate. Again, my position, somebody asked me on Twitter, what's your position on Levin and Tucker Carlson, or on Cruz and Tucker Carlson? Well, number one, you can listen to this show for the last couple of days. You can find out easily. Number two, I would just say this. Take Israel and change it to China. And you tell me. Take Israel, state of Israel, and change it to state of Cuba. And you tell me. Take Israel. Mike, why are you saying Israel, not Israel? I've been using proper Lindsey Graham pronunciation. Take Israel and replace it with Venezuela and tell me that it's no big deal. Take Russia. Israel and replace it with Russia, and tell me it's no big deal. I got into the United States Senate to do all I could do to be the best defender of Russia there has ever been in the Senate. What do you think about that statement now? But miniature play! Russia is not Israel. Israel is holy and filled with holy, Christian people. They're the chosen people of God. No, the chosen people of God believe in Jesus Christ, the Messiah God sent, the second person of the Holy Trinity. Those people in that country, now there are some that don't believe that. And anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. We got a lot to do because I want to talk about a lot of other stuff here. All right. We have any digital media files to get to? We didn't play Jasmine Crockett.
Steve Bannon and a Karen Bass.
Karen Bass, yes, let's do that. Well, let's do Commie Karen, and then we're going to talk about Jeremy Clarkson and Clarksons Farm. By the way, Clarksons Farm, the reason that Clarksons Farm has become and is becoming a bigger hit than it was just when it was released in the UK and is now, is it on Peacock? Is it on, well, you can get it on Amazon, but is Amazon getting it from Peacock? Here, roll Karen Bass, and we'll figure that out. Commie Karen, I'm sorry.
Though that we need to think about. We need to think about the National Guard that is federalized. We need to think about the Marines. You know, those are young women and men who are on this deployment, brought away from their homes, their families, their education. And to me, it's like using them as props. Take them away from their school, take them away from their employment to do this deployment that is not needed is not only cruel, but it's impacting their families too. I think on Father's Day, the children that were waiting for their fathers to come home, that they have missing fathers because they were detained, the people who were here legally that showed up for their immigration appointment that's required every year, and they get detained, this chaos needs to stop, and it can only stop out of the White House.
You are a communist.
Yep.
You are an enemy of all legal, law-abiding Americans, ma'am. The city of L.A. ought to be sawed off the state of California and let it slide into the Pacific Ocean, and we should be done with it. This sanctuary city and sanctuary state nonsense. Oh, and by the way, they signed up for this. You signed up with the expectation you will be deployed. No one joins the National Guard thinking they get to hang out at every holiday with their family and enjoy bonbons and cold beer. No, if you get to do it, fine. But you signed up. They signed up to be in the National Guard. Sometimes the National Guard gets called out. But to insult them, this isn't insulting soldiers. Insult them and say that the job that they're doing is just, it's feckless, useless, and not important. Oh, that's going to be great for the morale of the troops. You and Gruesome Newsom are doing more damage to the esprit de corps of the National Guard in your state. Pray you don't get invaded. Because maybe they'll just turn their back and go, oh, I don't see any invaders. You told me I was useless and worthless and should be off at school or eating bonbons and drinking cold beer. The more these people talk, the more these Democrats reveal themselves to be the America-hating, putrid, human refuse that they are. What do we have next? Next! What's next? If we're going to do audio, digital media files.
Well, what do you want?
Let's talk about this. There's a story at thefederalist.com. And I talked about this just not coincidentally, I think, on the Mike Church show this morning. Clarksons Farm debunks globalist lies about UK and mass migration. That's one. Wait a minute, folks. I have the happy hour, happiest story of the entire day.
The best Friday story.
It's the best Friday story, and nobody knows about it. Here's the headline: U.S. to drop guidance to limit alcohol to 1 or 2 drinks per day, sources say. Happy hour is back. You know that these killjoys during the Obama regime killed happy hour, right? It's basically illegal. Because they came out with it. Well, they told me at the FDA that anything more than 1 glass of wine a day is going to kill people and bad for your health. No, being a closet homosexual is bad for your health. Drinking 2 glasses of wine a day is good for you. When they passed these stupid guidelines, I remember doing the show, and I remember bar owners and calling me nationwide on the SiriusXM Patriot channel back in the day and telling me that, Mike, this basically means we can't, it's basically illegal. Our alcohol boards are telling us it's now basically illegal. We should not have happy hours anymore. Why not? Well, because that would be encouraging people to have more than one drink. And if you encourage them to have more than one drink, then you can get sued for impacting their health. So happy hour is going to come back. The U.S. government is expected to eliminate from its dietary guidelines, this whole food pyramid is so stupid. And it always was such a dumb idea. Who in their right mind ever thought that anyone that's a teat-suckling parasite at a federal bureau or state bureaucracy knows better than you about what you should eat and what you should drink? Now, I'm all for having some sort of a uniform rule of standard and measure where, like for the food service labels, in some instances, the food service label is actually helpful because especially if you're a diabetic, you might want to know if there's sugar in it. If you have one of these allergies, like you're allergic to peanuts, you might want to know there's peanuts in something. So I actually think that is almost like, well, we're going to have the imperial system here in the United States, not the metric system. Congress is delegated to a system of weights and measures. And if you ratify the Constitution in your state, you're basically agreeing that Congress can set the standards of weights and measures and regulate the value of print gold and silver as coin and regulate the value thereof, as I think the way it says it in the Constitution. Fine. You delegated that authority. I don't really have an issue with a nutrition count. If it's calories or fat. As a matter of fact, on my rubs, right there, on our rubs, I have to submit them so that you can get this. Let's see, a Kadiana steak seasoning, which you can get at shop.mikechurch.com. I have to submit a sample of this, and I can't remember how many ounces, and they test it. They charge you for it, too. I got to pay for that. I don't mind because people ask, what's such and such in it? Well, no, here's the ingredients, and then here's what the nutrition label says. That shouldn't be a big deal for people. Telling them, after you tell them what's in the glass of wine, telling them how many glasses they can have, that's a big deal. So, the updated dietary guidelines for Americans, which could be released as early as this month, are expected to include a brief statement encouraging Americans to drink in moderation or limit alcohol intake due to associated health risks. The sources said the guidelines are still under development, blah, blah, blah. Currently, the recommendations advise limiting drinking to 1 serving or less per day for women or 2 or less for men. Dude, that's noon around here. That's... As soon as this show is over, number 1 goes in the gullet. I'm only exaggerating just by a little bit. In any event, even moderate drinking has leaked to some health risks. Please. You know, when they had when our Lord and Savior went to the wedding at Cana, which is the first miracle that he performed, I always tell teetotalers, you know that it's in the Bible. You ain't supposed to drink nothing. That's a sin. I'm like, no. Where did you get that from? It's in the Bible. I'm pretty sure that that's not in the Bible. Now, maybe sloth or gluttony of consuming too much and falling down stupid drunk, that may be, but having drinks, I'm pretty sure that they went to the wedding at Cana, and not only did they drink more than 1 or 2, but they drank so much that all the wine ran out. Mother Mary says, you need to help them, son. I'm paraphrasing. Their wine has run out. What business is that of mine, woman? My hour has not yet come, our Lord says. And then Our Lady, the Blessed Mother, says, looks at him, like, gives him the Maggie O'Connell. The wife look. You know what the wife look is? Like, don't ask me again, just do it. And then, of course, she says, do whatever he tells you to do. And they fill up. You have to know also, have you ever seen what the size of those jars are that he has to be filled up? We're not talking about little 12-ounce bottles of wine. We're talking about little these things are like 4 feet tall and 6 inches in diameter. I'm going to have a drink, and we'll be right back.
Channel, your news, talk, and Fiorella file station. Fiorella reads and reviews so you can read and purchase with confidence. 9 to 10 a.m. every Monday on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com.
This is a pixel. I'm Groot. Now, if you put a couple of million of these guys together, you can make a sentence on an LED screen. Put a couple of billion of them together, and you can make a whole page. Put 360 billion of them, and you got Chesterson's book, Orthodoxy. But it doesn't smell like a book, and it burns teeny little holes in your cornea. So is the pixel really your friend? I'm Groot. No, but the Founders Trading Post is your friend, and we have actual books with actual smelly pages. Plus, our little bookstore has everything you'd expect. I'm Groot. Yes, Groot, to the gourmet coffee, but no to the One Tree Hill sappy guitar music.
Pick up a copy of G.K. Chesterton's Orthodoxy, plus many other Chesterton titles at shop.mikechurch.com.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Radio Network News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Friday, June the 20th, 2025. This report is brought to you by Mike Church's Beast and Butt Rub, a rub that has won championships and will help make you a champ in your kitchen or backyard. Check out Mike's recipes and pick up a bottle or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. In the market report, the Dow closed slightly down 0.01%, and the S&P just about flat, but down 0.03%, and NASDAQ was up 0.13%. Summer begins in the Northern Hemisphere on the longest day of the year, today, also known as the summer solstice. And along with that, today is National Seashell Day, always the first day of summer, and it's National Ice Cream Soda Day and Vanilla Milkshake Day. It's National American Eagle Day. Each year on June 20th, we honor our national symbol, the majestic eagle. It's also Anne and Samantha Day, honoring Anne Frank and Samantha Smith and the impact they had on the world. It's National Queen Amene Day, celebrating a popular and traditional pastry originating in 1860 when flour was scarce, but butter was abundant. It's Take Your Dog to Work Day. And our quote of the day, those whose hearts are pure are temples of the Holy Spirit. St. Lucy, and our saint of the day is St. Silverius. You are listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
But if you wait around a while, I'll
that they found an ancient stone tablet in a cave in Israel? Well, they found it a couple of weeks ago, and they finally got it translated, and they dated it back to like 2,000 years before Christ. And there's several messages on it, but the one main message that people are focusing on, and this is kind of breaking news here, to this this is almost a 4,000-year-old stone tablet that they found in a cave somewhere in Israel, just got translated, and the translation says Persia is only a few weeks away from developing a nuclear weapon. It took them a long time to figure that out, but they finally did. So stupid. Okay, folks, it is a free phone Friday Mike Church Show. This portion of the program brought to you by the Founders Trading Post store at shop.mikechurch.com. Shop all weekend long. Pick yourself up a bottle of the Beast and Butt Rub and the Chicken Mamou seasoning and the Kadiana steak seasoning. They are good on all manner of dishes, not just chicken, not just steak, not just pork. Try them out and sample and mess around or experiment with them today. Don't forget the Manchipia Maria cigars while you're there, and all the great selection and collection of books. There's a flag that's on sale. The Sacred Heart of Jesus flag's on sale. $10 off. Sale ends tomorrow. So basically tomorrow morning at 12:01 a.m. So today. Shop with us today. Your purchases support the Crusade channel and the Mike Church Show. Go to shop.mikechurch.com. True story about that stone tablet. I mean, kind of true. I think it's true. All right. We did a Free Farm Friday today, which we will make as a standalone episode for all you Founders Pass members. It will be up on the site shortly after this show is concluded at crusadechannel.com. And one of the things we talked about was that the effect or the impact that regenerative farming is having on people in not just in the U.S., but now in the U.K. and elsewhere as the practice has gotten out and people try it. Like, we're in our fifth year now. This is our fourth year of regenerating our soil. For the first time, and we've tried it, this is the fifth attempt. So for the first time in 5 years, one of our raised beds, or kind of raised beds, is actually producing cucumbers. Now, we had vines growing galore. You want a cucumber vine? I can get you a 20-foot one by 3 o'clock this afternoon for the previous 4 years. Almost no fruit. This year, probably already a half a dozen or so, and many, many more that will ultimately be picked. And that's as a result of doing the regeneration of the soil, which is a very simple process. It's not difficult to do. You just got to kind of understand it and commit to it. And we have pictures of the way our soil looked 5 years ago and the way it looks today. And it was kind of dusty and dry and loose. And just if you picked a handful of it up, it would just sift through your fingers primarily, unless you get some clay on it. Now, our soil, you need a shovel to get through it. And about 4 inches down, it's pretty much black and teeming with life. There's worms, there's all kind of bugs, and other critters running through it. And that's what regenerative farming will do for your farm. Now, I'm not the only one. I didn't create this. I learned about it. I'm still learning about it. The reason I bring it up is because one of the most popular shows on television today is Clarksons Farm. And Jeremy Clarkson learned about regenerative farming. Was it the first season or second season? I think it was the second.
It might have been the third.
I think it was the second season where they planted the beans, the cover crop, with the wheat. And he was told, no, we don't need to till. We need to do this. Now, somebody said that they're still using glyphosate. I thought glyphosate was, and I know it's illegal in the EU, but they have, since Brexit, they're not in the EU. That would be a shame, but hey, give them a break. Clarksons Farm debunks globalist lies about UK mass migration. I told Maggie, you know what Clarksons Farm is at the end of the day? Now, again, don't watch this show and then send me hate mail. But tell me, you didn't tell me that they had cursing on this show. Don't watch it with your children. If you can't take hearing the F-bomb or the F-word, then it's not for you. And no, I don't think VidAngel will, I think VidAngel got sued actually, will be able to excise it. So you're going to have to watch it with the language. And if that's not your cup of tea and you want to go into our chat rooms and demonize people like us that do, and because I want to get to the content, go ahead and do that. That's fine. So I'm just going to tell you in advance that there's language in it. But what about the story of the show? The show, Clarksons Farm, is basically Yellowstone set in England, and it's not the property and the other and the investment and the venture capitalist criminals that are trying to get the land. It's the government of the UK basically trying to kill their own citizens. This is an existential war. You got to wonder, between the Muslims that are raping the little girls in Birmingham and in Manchester, and then the other rape gangs in London, and then you find out through Clarkson's Farm that the regulations in the UK, you almost can't grow anything. These people almost, I'll walk right up to the line, because I don't want to say anyone deserves to starve. They almost deserve to starve. And when I say these people, I don't mean the good people of England. I mean the people that are running the joint. This is the United Kingdom is being run by a class of egomaniacal, suicidal, and homicidal maniacs. Like H.L. Mencken once said, people in the United States that wanted democracy, that they ought to get the democracy and the government they voted for, and they ought to get it hard. Well, the people of the UK that want their democracy, they ought to get it, and they're going to get it hard, because you know what's going to happen. It's only going to take a seriously rainy season like they're having right now, coupled with a bad winter, for the UK to be into the position where it was in the 1840s and 1850s, when they had to go steal food from the Irish to survive. That's how you got the potato famine. Most people don't know that. It wasn't that there was a shortage of potatoes. There were plenty of potatoes. The Irish grew them. It's that the barbaric... And look, the people of the UK are savages. They're barbarians. These are the people that invented drawing, hanging, drawing, and quartering. These are not nice people. You know, I know when you're watching Downton Abbey, you go like, oh, look how nice and prim and proper. And I'm sure there are good people. I've been to England 3 times, so I've met some good people in England. But the people that run that crap show, these people are savages. And they have been. This is not new. So when you watch Clarkson's Farm, I wonder how many people in GB watch Clarkson's Farm and go like, our government is trying to kill us. August Mayrot, one of my favorite authors at thefederalist.com. Jeremy Clarkson has become an icon of the farming world, a living rebuke to the artificial, technocratic, globalist, and humorless world order that prevails in the West. It has now become apparent that the television series Clarkson's Farm is no longer about Jeremy Clarkson or about farming. It's about England. I can tell you, Maggie watched it. I'm going to looking forward actually to doing, because I didn't watch it season 1 and 2. I caught most of the last half of season 3, and I fell in love with the guy. And I'm like, I love this show. These guys are hysterical. But besides the fact that Jeremy Clarkson is just a natural, he's just a naturally funny guy, and he brings humor out of things that aren't funny. That's, Jackie Gleason was one of those kind of people that just brings humor out. Things that you wouldn't think would be funny, but, you can do that. Sure, the first couple of seasons centered on Jeremy Clarkson, a TV personality, writer, one of England's sexiest men, bumbling about on a farm in the British countryside. Meanwhile, his heroic farm manager, Caleb Cooper, and accounting genius Charlie Ireland were placed on high alert to make sure Clarkson didn't go kill himself or go bankrupt. Midway through the second and all throughout the third season, however, Clarkson gradually retreated from the limelight to give more attention to the farming community and his partner Cooper, Caleb, as they call him on the show. Caleb's got a book out, as a matter of fact. He's a minor celebrity in the UK now. This drove home the point of just how challenging it is to make a living as a farmer in England with its Byzantine regulations, short-sighted local councils, and precarious weather. I watched an episode and I went like, did that council really say that? Did they made him do that? I'm with Clarkson's girlfriend. You're going to get to a point where you're going to say, no. What do you mean? Well, the council, you have to do what we say you have to do. And for the Clarksons to go like, no, we heard what you said. We're not going to do it. And you know what? There's a line of 1,500 people down the road that are coming here today to come to my farm and eat. You going to arrest all them too? I think, look, mass revolts to the democratic institutions across the world. I actually think that President Trump is doing damage to the democratic institutions and trying to restore some sense of the federal. Don't know how successful he'll be at that, and he needs to go further for sure. But it is a good start. Who's doing it in the UK? Apparently Jeremy Clarkson. This drove home the point of just how challenging it is to make a living as a farmer in England, with its Byzantine regulations, short-sighted local councils, and precarious weather. In one of the later episodes of the third season, Cooper actually meets with the British Prime Minister at the time, Rishi Sunak, to advocate, this is before Keir Starmer, obviously, to advocate for British farmers and for encouraging more British youths to enter the farming trades. Although most of his meeting is played for laughs, the grievances are real. This is shown throughout the season when Clarkson manages to organize a farming co-op and set up a farm-to-table restaurant, only to be shut down afterward by a local council. Undeterred in its fourth season, spoiler alert's coming up. If you haven't seen the fourth season, here's some of what's in it. Clarkson makes another attempt at establishing an outlet for his co-op's produce. Venturing out to neighboring villages, he hopes to buy an old building in order to fit it out with a locavore restaurant, pub, butcher, farmer's market that can accommodate a sizable crowd and operate within the narrow limits of British statutes. It is in this endeavor especially that Clarkson's farming journey exposes some revealing aspects of today's culture and his country's lost identity. As he looks at vacant properties, he notices that local pubs have declined precipitously in the past few decades, and that village life has long since dissolved. The sad truth comes out in a poignant conversation he has with his team over a pint, of course, about the disappearance of local institutions that once brought farmers together to support one another and to form tight-knit communities. According to Harriet Cowan, a young woman who fills in for Cooper at the beginning of the season, loneliness and depression are rampant among farmers. Well, they're rampant among American youths as well. Why? They don't have places to hang out. An online hangout is not a hangout. Local bars and pubs, they were told, don't go, don't drink, you'll get arrested, etc., etc. Don't go out, you got to wear a mask, and this and that and the other. You know, he doesn't cover it, August Mayrot, but in one of a couple of the episodes that I saw, one of the neighbors, the neighboring farmers, comes down with cancer. He gets diagnosed, and Jeremy Clarkson is visibly upset when he learns that what's the farm the guy's name? They only call him by his last name. Clarkson gets visibly upset. Gerald gets visibly upset that Gerald's got cancer, and he goes, "Well, no, we've got to do something. We've got to care for Gerald. Who's going to take care of Gerald's farm while he's recuperating? Who's going to stay with the bloke?" And so they basically take turns taking care of Gerald. And he goes through chemo. He's got prostate cancer, right? He goes through chemo, and he survives, and he rejoins the cast. And it's just what neighbors do. You know, it stands out, but it shouldn't stand out because that's what good Christian people do, whether they say they're Christian or not. Even if Clarkson himself is insulated from some of these problems, being a wealthy celebrity with a massive fan base, his fellow farmers are clearly experiencing this firsthand. In season 4, their plight is particularly bad because of record rainfall destroying the harvest. Added to this is the closing of local abattoirs, that's what they call slaughterhouses in the UK, negatively affecting farmers with livestock. For these and a multitude of other reasons, many farmers will be forced off of their land. As I said, the elite in England, you should starve to death. You should reap what you're not sowing or not allowing others to sow or reap. Tell you, folks, any crime like this against human flourishing is demonic. Like when Dana Milbank, that lunatic, said, no, we're going to have zero diesels by 2030 in the UK. And the young girl goes, zero? None? Well, that's what the mandate says. Yes, we fully intend to meet. And then she said, well, what about the equipment and trucks and like that? Oh, well, they'll all have to comply as well. I hope you're first. I hope you're the first one that has the distended belly. These people are insane. They're demonically depressed. And we have plenty of them here in the United States as well. Karen Bass is among them. Grusin Gavin Newsom doesn't care. And he'll never miss a meal, by the way. Yet it's hard to shake the feeling that the elites in England and elsewhere probably want it this way. Oh, I think they do. August. After all, the lush green fields, the crops, the frolicking cows, pigs, and sheep, the old villages, and yes, the white British yokels who have worked and lived in this area for generations are what make England what it is. These are the descendants of the British yeomen of yore, disconnected from trends and zeitgeist to modernity. They voted for Brexit because they still believed in old-fashioned things like national sovereignty. This is the England that most people dream about, and one of the main draws of Clarksons Farm. By contrast, no one wants to think about the blight, the crime, and the unassimilated immigrant populations that have taken over England's cities. Nor do they like to think about the country's bloodless Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, who censors his own people, arrests pro-life activists, covers up for Pakistani rape gangs, and seems committed to managing his country's decline. By the way, you can now murder a child on the day of its birth by keeping the head in the womb and snapping the spinal cord. That's legal, but if you're across the street from that abortuary and praying that it doesn't happen or praying for the repose of the soul of the child, you go to jail. In what kind of a sick, twisted Orwellian nightmare do the people of England now find themselves? And you have too many people over there who think it's prim and proper and that this is some sort of diversity. Killing babies is diversity? Are you insane? Yes, they are. It is no coincidence that Clarksons Farm is probably one of the least diverse and inclusive shows on any streaming platform. Clarkson himself jokes about this in the first season. Far removed from the woke virus, either taking road trips around the world or puttering around in his monster truck tractor on his farm, Clarkson clearly wants to be true to his subject and hire the people who normally do the work. They just happen to be mostly white, middle-aged men. Indeed, American audiences might marvel at the sight of so many white guys doing the kind of work that is normally reserved for non-white immigrants. As a matter of fact, let me stop right there. We are told that white boys can't do this work. Well, tell that to the people of Clarksons Farm. They're all white guys. Nobody in that show goes like, well, Jeremy, should we go down to the Home Depot and see if we can't pick up a couple of pickers? As a matter of fact, Clarkson himself, the episodes I watch, does most of the work. When Jeremy and his wife decide that he's going to disregard the advice that Charlie gives him, you don't want pigs. No, I think we do want pigs. you don't want pigs. They do this, and then he goes, oh, okay, well, okay. And as soon as Charlie leaves, we're going to go get the pig. He orders pigs. Well, Caleb is out on vacation or holiday or whatever, and he knows he has to build a pen. So Jeremy Clarkson and his girlfriend get the tractor, get the wire, and build the pen. Of course, not without many of mistakes and and they don't use a laser sight to sight the poles in, but they do get it built, and it does hold the pigs in. So, like I said, it's funny to watch him, like with the blueberry picker. What is that contraption when it picks the berries? You can't hoover the berries up. Sure you can. Contrary to popular opinion and President Trump's recent appeal on behalf of the hospitality and agricultural industries, which he has rescinded, they really can do the work. More importantly, he's talking about white boys. More importantly, they want to do the work. Even though their government either neglects them or actively marginalizes them, they continue to form the backbone of British life. And if they persist in their thankless task, they may just prove to be their country's future as well. I think they're the future of this country, as a matter of fact. As such, no one watching the two young farmers, Caleb Cooper and Harriet Cowan, would ever think to pity them. Unlike the rest of their generation, these two are doing fulfilling work, building up hard skills, and are financially independent. As a matter of fact, in season 3, they had a contest between Jeremy and Caleb to see who could make the most money off their 500 acres, and Caleb actually made the most money off his 500 acres. They are literally touching grass instead of losing themselves on their smartphones. Hopefully, they can convince more young people with the intelligence, work ethic, and desire to work on a farm, even if they have been conditioned to believe that all opportunity and respectability exclusively lie in urban life. As for Clarkson himself, what started as an amusing premise has now evolved into a compelling alternative vision for his country. Quite by accident, he has become an icon of the farming world, a living rebuke to the artificial, technocratic, globalist, and humorless world order that prevails in the West. As long as his health holds up, he needs to continue to work. And then there's more on that. Read the whole piece at thefederalist.com. I talked about this on the morning show today, so this won't be news to some of you. But let me just give you another take on what's actually happening, and it's happening here in America. 5 years ago, when we started Free Farm Friday, none of us knew anything about regenerative farming. We're very in tune with how hard it is to produce milk, what it takes to raise a cow or a pig, or to do regenerative farming and to care for your soil and all that. I would say large percentages of the Mike Church Show audience now knows about all of these things. And I would say not a similarly large percent are now trying to do it. Well, you know what? We talked about this today. You know what we can get here locally now? Raw milk from a farmer not 10 miles from here. That's progress. So I think it's coming back. Folks, have a safe and blessed weekend. Keep it tuned here at the Crusade Radio Network. Shop at the store, shop.mikechurch.com. God bless you and Merry keep you. See you Monday.